What happens when you expect success? I mean, you can feel a whole different direction shift the moment that you stop asking what might go wrong and you start asking what happens if it all works out. Pretty cool, right? Have you ever done that before? I mean, that single shift, it changes how you think, how you act, and really how you move through your day. I'm really going to encourage you to tap into today's episode because most people, at least I think most people, never really let themselves go there because they're used to planning around fear. And when you let yourself picture things working out in your favor, I get it. Our minds want to go to the what if scenarios, right? All the worst possible things that can happen. But when you go to the place where everything works out in my favor, well, you create a different level of focus and a different level of drive. So that's what we're talking about today. The power of choosing a goal and really building a world where your mind is where that goal becomes the starting point instead of this distance far away, someday maybe sort of land, right? So we're going to talk about that. And if this really is already sparking and firing you up, something inside you, let's jump on a quick 15-minute game plan while you're there. I mean, just to help you get through help you reach your goal. Head over to talktoperry.com because I'm going to help you tighten up that area for the next steps to really help yourself feel strong, feel focused, and really be able to just dial in where you're wanting to go. That's over at talktoperry.com. I'm dropping that in the lower third there because when you have a goal, that means it really means something to you, right? There's this pull that forms inside you. I'm like, oh, I'm so fired up. I got this goal. I'm really going after it. I'm all in, right? And sometimes it's a big charge like that. Other times it's like quiet. You know, it's just quiet at first where, it's like you feel this little pull. And once you feel that, you can't unfeel it. You're like, oh my gosh, I've got this drive. I've got this desire. I've got this burning desire. And it's that moment where you feel done sitting on the sidelines. Have you ever had that before? This happened to me a few times in my health and fitness journey where it was like, oh my gosh, this is the year. I'm getting in shape. I'm losing the weight. I'm getting rid of the beer gut. But I didn't apply the things that I'm talking to you about today. It was actually where I was at a point where it was like, yeah, I'm going to get into this thing, but there was this little tiny voice of what if I get sidetracked? What if I put in all this time and energy and I fail, and I waste all that? What if I get injured? And I went in what if world. And when you get stuck in what if world, you don't take action or you dabble. And if you're done talking about change and you're ready to move, having a desire isn't really enough. Okay? It's really you need a structure where your mind, it's directing that desire instead of letting things run wild. I think that's where a lot of people go is they'll have a desire, they'll have a goal, but then they get random with their actions or they hope and they pray that something will stick and that they won't self-sabotage this time. You're going to love these tips today. One way to build this structure is just by asking the same question over and over again. And when you ask this question, you're probably going to start coming up with a bunch of what-if scenarios to counteract it. Be aware of those. So your question that you're asking yourself is, what would happen if it works out? That's huge. Not what would happen if I fail. Not what would happen if I self-sabotage. Not what might get in the way. But what would happen if it works out? That's a clean way to support your life. Ask that question until it feels like a normal way of thinking. It's going to feel weird at first, okay? It really is. You might get into this little quirky sarcasm talk in your head. Yeah, but I've always failed before. Yeah, but this and this and this. You'll Our brains are constantly looking for ways to justify our doubt, worries, fears, and really, we don't. We'll come up with rational reasons. At least we think they are. That's a disguise. When you do this, what if things work out? When you do that with intention, you're shifting and really shaping those assumptions that support your progress. And you begin to trust your actions are going to lead to somewhere good. You start noticing opportunities where you used to ignore them. This happened to me. I started telling myself, I'm a person who shows up and starts my exercise. I'm a person who exercises daily. What if it all works out and I'm in shape? And I had to repeat that all the time. When I started doing that, I started to get in shape. I started to lose the weight. I started to see other opportunities that I didn't know was there. I started to benefit from things that I didn't think I would. I figured the aches and pains were here to stay, and all of a sudden they're gone or they're fading into the woodwork. Even decision making, you start deciding from a place of clarity instead of fear. I found myself making the decision to start eating vegetables. Where did that come from? I hated them all my life. I started shopping differently. I started showing up for my workouts differently. I started approaching personal development differently. I stopped wasting energy trying to protect myself from outcomes and fears that never needed my protection in the first place. This, this is a high power of the brain and of our thinking. It's where imagination really becomes this tool for yourself. It's a goal. It's for goal creation. It's not for, fantasy land or pretending. Actual work is what, it's thought work is what it is. And you start framing this mental version of your life where your goal has already taken shape. You're already at that place. And when you go there, and I get it, it can seem a bit abstract at first. But when you start picturing your routines that you follow, you picture the choices that you're making, you picture your confidence, how your confidence is, you picture how you're fueling your mindset every day. Just every time you reinforce those thoughts, you're training your mind to support the direction that you want to go. Now, you still have to take action, right? But it really starts in the mind. This is where a lot of people will come across their New Year's resolution, for instance. Now, you might say, oh, I don't do resolutions. Okay, whatever you want to call it, when you're going for a goal. But you do know people do resolutions, and you've probably done them in the past. But this is where a lot of people are like, yep, I'm signing up for that class. I'm signing up for this way to get organized. I'm buying this book. I'm buying this course, whatever it is. I'm signing up for that membership. But you'll see people dabble in their action, praying and hoping it will stick, but they don't shift their identity. They don't shift their thinking. They don't look at how I'm already successful. What if I'm set for winning? They don't do that. They don't realize how many assumptions they carry around all day. They're assuming they'll fail. They're assuming that traffic's going to be bad. They're assuming they're too busy and they don't have time. They're assuming that there's this huge to-do list that they can't possibly get into exercise or work toward their goal. They assume how hard things will be. Have you ever done that where you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be totally overwhelming. And then we tell ourselves we're overwhelmed. Can you see how we program ourselves to not go toward our goals? And those assumptions, they run so quietly in the background. They shape the decisions before you even notice them. But if you just say, what happened? Just asking yourself, well, what happens if it works out? When you start asking yourself that, you're interrupting those assumptions. You're replacing that with ones that really serve you. This does take practice. This does take repetition. But this is where just having a focus point, it really becomes useful. Just pick a clear target, something that's connected to your goal. My clear target that I dialed into A friend of mine, Sam Crawley, shout out to you, Sam. Do simple better. This is what I did to do simple better. I realized that I was getting home from a long commute and I was waiting after I'd sit down and relax so I could get motivated to exercise. And day after day, I wouldn't get motivated. I'd find something else to do. And it became an aha moment. Get rid of the sit down and get motivated time. Start your workout right after you get home. Now, I had an hour commute, so I could talk myself out of starting workout. I'm like, I'm going to make starting my workout easier. I created what I called a no matter what plan. I said, you have to commit to 15 minutes, no matter what. I don't care what the workout is. If you don't like it, if you don't do it, just 15 minutes. And almost all the time, I got in there, got the 15 minutes done, and finished the rest of the workout because I got into momentum. I did simple better. I stopped waiting for motivation. I picked my time to work out. I picked my moment to get started and the amount of time. And I counted those 15 minutes. I counted. And the only thing is, I think maybe 5 times I actually stopped at the 15-minute mark. Most of the time I kept going. So pick one clear target, not 10, not 1. My target was start. Make it so, this is for fitness for me. This could be anything for you. Just make it something that your mind is centered, so your mind's centered, especially when distractions show up. My distractions on the way home, my to-do list, I was running a German Shepherd rescue. I had a home business where I was doing videography and web design. I had a full-time job. I had an hour commute, and there's probably a bunch of other things to take care of. I had my own pet kids and everything like that. Tons of distractions. They will show up. They will get noisy with life. People will need things. Situations will try and pull you all over the place. And when that happens, and here's where a lot of us give our power away. We go, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff. No, all that stuff is just evidence that you can still push through. Ask yourself a second question. What does my goal have to do with that? Or what does this have to do with my goal? Reverse it. Just that question, it's firm. It pulls you back into alignment. Oh my gosh, I've got this big to-do list. I've got people to take care of. I've got emails to check. I've got, what does that have to do with my goal? That's why I got rid of my sit down and get motivated time. It had nothing to do with my goal. You might say, getting motivated. You have to get motivated for no, I didn't. I just had to take action. When you do that, you stop your mind from chasing those things that don't support you. It doesn't, especially the things that are pulling you away from the direction you want to go. And the more you use it, the easier it gets. You stay steady, So ask yourself, are you moving deeper into your goal? Because when you do, you're going to notice something else. You begin to create your future through assumptions and the thoughts that you repeat over and over and over again. And I get it. You're probably saying, oh, assumptions. I'm doing the assume thing. Don't assume. You know what? Lay that aside. The thoughts that you repeat, those become the expectations. And your mind's going to try and fulfill those. If your assumptions are, I'm busy, I'm overworked, I'm overwhelmed, I'm heavy, if those assumptions are heavy, your actions are going to feel heavy. You aren't going to do them. But if your assumptions are, you know what? I'm a person who shows up for exercise. I'm a person who shows up for my goal no matter what. When you choose those thoughts that support you, your actions feel doable. That's why I made my actions doable. For sure, I'm showing up 15 minutes. Most likely it'll be 30 to 45, but I'm showing up for first 15. Just ask if the assumptions that you're carrying around are the ones that you want. You know what they are. If they match in the direction of your goal, fantastic. And it really doesn't mean that you're forcing yourself to feel, to actually think unrealistically. It really is in alignment in thinking with this version of you who's actually capable of seeing this through. Now, I had a tough time seeing myself in shape I saw myself in shape, but I got drifted off course so much that it seemed like such a long distance to cover to get back into shape. And I made that a big story. And you know what? I got in shape in less than 90 days. I lost the weight. And then over the next 23 years, I've had fun exercising each day and trying out new workouts. But I made it such a big deal that it was going to take years and years and years and years and be so overwhelming, I would never succeed. Take a look at this. You already have a history of following through, even through tough seasons. Now, you might dismiss them. You maybe never acknowledged those before, but you already have evidence that you can rise when it counts. You've made difficult changes before. You know how to show up. The goal really isn't this random dream. You've had this dream before, and it's something that's really been calling at you. You already have the ability to meet it. So when you start expecting a good outcome, you move differently. Your choices become clearer. Your energy becomes lighter. You actually stop overthinking every single step. And you start trusting yourself that you're going to show up and take action for something that's bigger than you, and opportunities you don't even realize are out there because you haven't taken the steps yet. And I'm going to say, just because you're doing the thinking, it doesn't remove effort, but it sure removes the confusion. And when that confusion's gone or it drops out of the way, well, that you're going to speed up your progress. This is the big thing for me. I did not believe I could get in shape in a very short time. I thought it was going to take a long time. When I let go of that thinking and just said, I'm going to just trust the process, go along this journey, because my goal isn't to just stop at 90 days. My goal is a lifelong, happy, healthy, feeling vibrant. So why am I trying to box this into this 90-day thing and think I can't do it? If my goal is a lifelong journey, what if it takes a lifetime to get there? What if it works out? And when I let that go, progress speeded up. And it was probably like about day 85, I was like, oh my gosh, I've surpassed my goal. Your goal deserves a version of you who's focused, who's steady, willing to think in a way that supports your future, instead of these loops and repeating the past over and over and over again. You probably heard people say, well, I need to get back on the wagon again. I need to get back on track again. Those people are in a loop over and over and over. They have not made this shift, this assumption yet. And I could probably have a discussion with each one, and I would bet you each person would tell me, yes, they have. But it's this thing, and this thing that's stopping them. And it's usually something outside of them. And it really isn't something outside of them. It's something inside of them that they're giving their power away. They just don't realize it. And the thing is, you get to choose your assumptions to build from. You get to choose the world that you're creating. You get to choose the version that really supports your growth. So I encourage you to really go through and just to take advantage of just looking at this progress and making it possible again. Because right there, your comfort's going to grow, the direction's going to become clear, and really this path that you're doing, it starts to feel like it really belongs to you. You got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. I do know I went on a little bit, but this is such an important topic, especially as we are heading in, as of this recording, into a season where people tend to get really distracted and overwhelmed. And this is how to dial it in and really go forward. So I'd love to hear your top takeaway. Drop those down in the comments. I really, really appreciate you. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day I am delivering
more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.